Okay, perfect.
Good. Hey, welcome to the HCRP studio. I'm Vlad Davidjuk, and I work for the Harris County Republican Party as the Director of Communications. We're continuing this series of candidate interviews where we offer you, the voters and the precinct chairs and the public at large, a chance to get to know the candidates. This is in no way an endorsement or a promotion of a particular candidate or particular candidacy during this campaign. As you well know, Harris County Republican Party stays out of primaries with regard to endorsements or proposing particular candidates. This is merely an opportunity for you, the viewers, to get to know who the candidate is in case you haven't had a chance to meet them personally or hear what they have to say. Today in the studio, I'm joined by Carmen Maria Montiel. She is one of the candidates who's running in Congressional District 29 for the GOP nomination during the 2018 primary. As you know, primary election will be held on Tuesday, March 6th. Early voting ends tomorrow, Friday, March 2nd. Carmen Maria Montiel, welcome to the HCRP studio.
Gracias, Vlad. Thanks for having me. And I'm going back and forth from my Spanish and my English. Good morning to all. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
And for having this opportunity. As you say, this is an opportunity that we all have and can use to reach out to our voters and for you to get to know us a little bit. Thank you.
You're actually the second candidate for Congressional District 29 we've had in the studio. We've had candidates from Congressional District 2, and we did other candidates in previous elections and primaries. Before we get into the discussion, I want to make sure you have a chance to look up Carmen Maria Montiel's information. Her website is carmenforcongress.com. You can also find her on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is at Carmen Ma Montiel. So that's Carmen M.A. and Montiel, her last name. And on Facebook, you can find her at carmen.ma.montiel. So the same as her Twitter handle, just with dots with separating her name. Carmen, you came into this race. This is an open seat.
Yes.
Gene Green, the longtime congressman, is finally retiring, thank God.
After 26 years, yes.
Of doing nothing. He's actually offered nothing to the 29th Congressional District.
And I remember that first race, as you know, I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
I was a reporter, and I was an anchor woman for Telemundo, and I was an anchor woman during that time. And I remember that race, that first race back in 1992, very clearly.
Yeah. So he's offered nothing. This is an open seat. It's a blank slate.
Yes.
What led you to decide to throw your hat into the ring and to join this race for this seat?
Well, I always say we journalists, we all flirt with politics, especially when we cover politics. And I'm very political myself, especially with what had happened in the country I was born, Venezuela.
Right.
And even when I was little, I was very active in politics, and I think I probably inherit from my grandfather, who was governor of the state of Zulia in Venezuela.
Wow.
And being, especially I always say, in the last 8 years under Obama, I saw how this country was getting more and more closer to the left. And I saw firsthand what the left does to a country like Venezuela that is rich, still rich,
very
that
prosperous.
It was in development. We were on the road to be a first world country. I didn't grow up in a third world country. We were on the road to development, a country that was an example of democracy for Latin America. And so I know what happened firsthand, and I always say I lost a country. I don't want to lose another country. And I know District 29 very well, because when I first came here in 1991 to Houston, I came to the United States in 1988 as a reporter, as an anchor woman. The district was a battleground. That's where we were always covering the news. That's where we were interview everybody. The east side of town is the one that have the biggest and largest Latinos communities. And then later, I developed a family medical practice in the district, and I still own property in the district. So I know the district very well. And most importantly, I know our people. And I always say that it takes somebody that is within to understand our people.
Good. It's it's like you said, it's a very diverse district, but it's also very heavily Hispanic.
77%,
And
yes.
it that also reflects in the way they voted recently. That since Gene Green since the district was created for Gene Green 26 years ago, they have never voted for a Republican in that district.
And I think it's our
so
fault. I think it's the Republican Party fault.
I would agree with you. I think the Republican Party has a role to play in that blame. But my question is going to be more along the lines of, what do you bring that gives you the confidence that you can become that first Republican to win election to the 29th Congressional District?
When I say it's our fault, because I believe that in order for us, the Republicans, to get across the message to the people, we need to have the right messenger with the right message. Mm-hmm. So in order to appeal to the Latino community, we need to have somebody, like I already said, within that have the right message. So I think the difference with me is being Latina, being that I know how to reach the people. I can give the message. I always say, our values, our core values as Latinos, we're conservative. We're about family, unity. We're about faith. We love our country, and we came to this country because we didn't like what we left. Mm-hmm. Countries that were not functioning, and mostly because they were leftist countries. Well, our countries are, most of all our parties are from the left, social type of countries with parties that are social type. So I think that's what I bring. I know the community, I know how to reach them. And what happened in the first race here in 92, the candidate for the Republican Party back in 1992 was an African American. And that was run in a district that is mostly Hispanic. It will be like me trying to run in Sheila Jackson's Lee district. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And that's what we need to be more proactive to get the candidates in each area, within each district, that appeal to the community.
Okay. That's the first step. The first step is finding a way to reach out to those constituents and say, here's a candidate that has some ideas that would match well with your interests, with your values, with your principles. So what the second step would be, what are those ideas? What are those policy proposals that you have that you feel would be well received by this district?
Listen, the most important thing in our district that is neat, as you see, 26 years, Gene Green has done nothing for the district. When you're in the district, you realize nothing has changed since I first came back in 1991. Still is the same.
It's sad, but true, yeah.
The rest of the city have grown and developed, but not the east side.
No.
So what we need is, I always say, more jobs and better jobs. When I mean better paying jobs. We need better education, because the district is so poor, our schools are very poor. And then we need also immigration. Contrary to what my opponents think, they think that because they are Latinos, they are open to open immigration. No, I have taken the time to sit down, to speak with the people, to know what they want. I already knew because I've been working there for many years, but certain issues, especially about immigration, they do want secure the borders.
Right.
And contrary to what my opponents think, oh no, because they're Latinos, they're gonna want no, they want to be safe. They want the borders to be protected. We all understand that the problem with the border is a problem with high crime. When we have a great, it's not only about drug trafficking, it's about terrorist, infiltration, and human trafficking. You know that Houston is the #1 city.
Yeah, it's the
in
hub.
human trafficking.
It's the hub for human trafficking.
And Harris County is number 2.
Yeah.
So we are here, and we need to protect ourselves, because this is about us, about our children first, especially about our children. And that's when I say, I know what they need. We need more trade schools in our district, because that's the biggest need that there is in our district, being surrounded by the refineries, the Port of Houston, and NASA. And to teach these people, we have a graduating rate of around 58% of the people in our district graduate from high school.
That's terrible.
Less than 10% graduates from college. But you know what? Not everybody has to go to college.
That's true.
There are trade schools, and, many of these careers that are taught in trade school, they pay very well. We need more plumbers, and plumbers, they make a great salary. And we need to teach our people to say, fine, only less percent graduate from college, but why don't we get another percent go to the trade school?
Yeah.
And that's when I think we are going to be able to get better and more paying jobs. And then we need the people trained to do that.
Okay. So basically, bottom line, your proposal is we have these old problems, we're going to have new solutions rather than trying the same old things that Gene Green and the Democrats tried
Completely.
for almost 30 years and accomplished nothing. One of the big things about Congressional District 29, the East Side, the Hispanic community, is it's a very diverse community.
It is.
It's not just Mexican. There's Hondurans, Nicaraguans, Salvadorans, people from South America, people Argentinians, Chile, even Brazil. So a lot of those groups tend to separate themselves out, and they have limited interaction with some of the others. How do you bridge that gap? What do you talk to them about?
Listen, at the end of the day, we're all Latins. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you a story. When I first came here in 1988, and I was in college, I came to study, and I remember at lunchtime, we have the table with all the Latins. Mm-hmm. And there were people from El Salvador, Colombia, Spain, Chile, and Venezuela. Mm-hmm. And it was our break out of the day because, of course, we have to speak English all day long. And it was our first year here. Our brain was breaking out and it was our time to relax, speak Spanish. And there were, even if it is Spanish, the words mean different things for each other. And we just sat down and laughed. And that's a point to unify us. And that's when I always say, you have to be Latin to understand and to be able to reach. Because I find the points that are the points that unified us. And that's what I intend to do as a representative in my district. Stop the segregation and unify us as one. We are Latins, and we're going to work together to better our district.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned this a little bit earlier, that Republicans share some of the blame for Congressional District 29 being solid Democrat for the last almost 30 years. What is it about the Democrats that has led this heavily Latino community to continue to vote for Democrats over and over again? You actually mentioned once, I heard a speech that you gave, that it's not entirely due to policy proposal. It may be actually due to a misunderstanding of the political descriptions.
Oh, the political and the symbols. And the symbols, like I said, I want to reiterate when I said, the first round in 92, we have the wrong candidate. And then for many elections, we didn't even have candidates.
Okay.
So that's one of the things, we the Republicans didn't have candidates. And, when somebody's sitting, it's very hard to unsit them. Now, let's talk why. It has a lot to do with the symbols, Black. Because let's start it. Around the world, the color of the left, what is it?
Red.
Our color, and we are the right here in the United States, is red. So let's start by that. Yeah. So when you come from other countries and you say, well, here are the Republicans, they're red, and here are the Democrats, they're blue. Oh, no. I'm not going to go with the party that is the red. That's the first start. The second is the name of the party. You come from a country, even if you come from Europe, the East countries, the communist country, you want democracy. We believe in democracy because we came from countries that oppress us. So here, we want democracy. And what's the name of that party? Democratic Party. Yeah. So if I want democracy, and this is the Democratic Party, and they're blue, you understand that it have a lot to do with the symbols, more than the propaganda.
It's almost like reverse psychology.
Completely. Yeah. And sometimes I think, and I say, was this done in purpose? Because people, even the people in Venezuela, for us, people in Venezuela stop using red as a color to dress. Because that's how bad it is. And so they teach me, well, now you are with the party of the red. And I'm like, no. The party of the red in this country is the party of the right. So we have to really, what we as a party have to do is a lot. It's, to retrain the brain and start, using the symbols to reverse, it's like reverse psychology.
Well, it didn't always used to be that way. Republicans actually used to have the color blue. But it was, I believe, in sometime in either the late '80s or the early '90s that the broadcast companies like CNN and ABC, CBS, they flipped the color scheme. Because if you look at
So that happened before I came here, because I
Probably.
always, it was red.
probably so,
But don't
it's
you think it was
unfortunate.
on purpose? Because
Oh,
it
yeah.
was the media
I believe
that
so.
gave the Republicans the red color. Then why? It was to say, hey, they are the left people.
Yeah.
Because the red is the color of the left.
This
And
is
that's
true.
why the confusion is. It's all about the symbols more than the propaganda. Then the propaganda steps in. We're going to give you things for free. And let me tell you, nothing is for free.
This
And
is
why
true.
do you want to take things for free when they're going to say, well, we're going to give you $200 a month, but that's all we're going to give you. And you're going to have to learn to live with $200 a month. When we, the Republicans, say, we're going to teach you how to work, and you are going to earn more than $200 a month, and you're going to be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
We, our party, we're about enriching and enlightening people and make them be the best they can be. So that's what we need to reroute and probably go back to the media and say, hey, give us back our color, because we're not.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, you can see that's why I painted the studio this color, because I think that's the color of conservatism around the world.
Completely.
And it's. I think the blue should be the appropriate color for Republicans. Let me ask you this: you've been in this race now for a few months. You filed to run back in December.
December late. I was
And-
the last one on the last day. Yes.
Yeah, I remember. And
Yeah.
you've been campaigning now. What's been the most surprising thing that you have learned as you've been campaigning?
Well, the most surprising thing is the mistake people have with what our people want in the district about immigration.
Okay.
Everybody thinks, oh, well, if you want open borders, in that district, you're wrong. And no. See, I think that's been the most surprising. But I have taken the time to sit down with the people. I have gone to their house and say, have coffee, and to sit down and say, I wanna listen. What is it that you want? And that was surprising to me. And that, as a representative for the district, that's what I'm gonna do, because it's not about me. It's about them. I want to listen to the people in my district. What is it that they want? And that's the way I'm going to vote in Congress, based on what the majority of the people in the district wants.
Okay. What and that's something that obviously it takes a lot of time and effort to really get all that understood in terms of how you address these people, because as you're talking to people in the district, you're talking to them one at a time. And so you have to take all that information, and then you start to see the pattern that emerges. What's been the feedback that you've gotten from talking to the people who live in that district? What have they been telling you?
Well, they want, especially, they want to change. They want to see their district grow as the level of our city has. They want somebody that's going to work for them and improve in all the needs that we have talked, better jobs, better education, protect our borders. And, many people say, well, it's about health. I think that our district is a front runner in what free market is in the medical field, because in the district we have many little clinics that people pay very little to go, and they get the best medical care.
Yeah.
So I think our district actually is an example in what free market in the medical field is, and we can actually expand that and by repealing Obamacare. I don't even believe in replace. I believe in repealing and open free market.
Let the
for
free
all.
market drive that. Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree 100%. And I've always been a bit confused and disappointed by Republicans falling into the trap of, well, we're going to repeal, but we have to replace it with something. Why do we have to replace it with
We
something?
don't have to replace it.
Replace it with the free market.
Exactly.
And get the government out of healthcare and
Completely out.
let that decide how things go forward. You obviously you didn't always want to be a politician. You've had an interesting career in how you arrived at where you are now. You were a beauty queen when you were younger.
Oh, yes.
You were a television anchor journalist.
Yes.
And now you've become.
Then I was in the medical field.
Yeah. So what I mean, that's a long journey to go through different areas and then finally arrive at where you're at. What's been your inspiration? Who's been a hero to you?
Well, first of all, my father. Because I told you, his father was a governor. And my father was a very dignified man. And he told us, as long as you say the truth, I will never get mad with you. And I will not punish you because the truth goes first. And he always told us, if you tell the truth, you will always succeed, even if it is ugly. So I think that make a great imprint in myself.
That's good.
And that's why I'm in the Republican Party, because this is the party of the truth.
Amen. It's that's always been one of the interesting things that we see repeatedly in the Republican Party, especially among the conservative movement, that the heroes that they have, the people who have motivated them, the people who have become inspirational in shaping their lives, tend to be their parents or very close family members first and foremost. And
you see that my eyes go teary when I talk about him.
It's understandable. I feel the same way. How about in terms of when you came to the United States? That was a big change for you.
Oh yes, yeah.
Moving on. When you came,
culture shock and everything.
Was Venezuela already on the path to socialism?
No.
It was still very prosperous. Okay.
No, I came in 1988, and it was what we call the golden years.
Okay.
You know, it was the best time, and I came to study. The idea was never to stay. I came to study. My plan was study, go back. And what happened is, while we were studying, we kept on studying, and then we decided, for reasons that were not related to me, stay. And I always say that God's plan is better than mine and yours and anybody else.
This is true.
You know? And we have to follow what, sometimes we are not getting what we want. I wanted to go back because I have great offers for work in Venezuela after coming here, graduating here, speaking English. So of course they were waiting. I was working in television in Venezuela, in Venevision, so they want me back. Mm-hmm. And the offers for work were much better than what I left. So of course I was looking forward to do that. But God has the plan, and look at now. If I would have gone back to Venezuela, probably right now I would be looking for a way to get out. And it's way more difficult.
Wow.
And now I've been a citizen since 2001. I've been in the United States 30 years. Imagine that. And I am, probably this was God's plan, because I understand and have the vision clearly of what happened in my country, and I can see how it started happening here, how the corruption started to infiltrate in our country.
Let's talk about that, because you're here now. You're starting to see some of the same patterns that you left behind in Venezuela. What can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, listen. When I was little, I remember, the first thing was if an officer stopped you in traffic, you got a ticket, and that was a major thing. Oh my God, we got a ticket. My mom, I was little, so my mom, that was a major problem. Like here in the United States, when you get a traffic ticket, it's a major thing. With time, whenever they stop you, nothing. It was, you gave them 20 bolivars, which was money back then. Right now it's nothing. So you start how that, and it became like a normal thing to do, and the authorities start not working for us, not protecting us, like we're seeing now, like in the last shooting, the sheriffs were outside not doing anything.
Wow.
People were reporting to the FBI did, and that's what it started to happen in Venezuela. The authorities were not working for us. Nobody ever stopped you again to put you a traffic ticket, and everybody knew how to, if you end up in court, how you manage and do the court thing, whoever you knew.
Wow.
And you started seeing how little by little that was started to happen
like
here.
Cancer started to grow.
And that's what happened when the cancer gets here. How do you stop it? And that's basically why I'm doing this, because I have the vision, I have seen it, I can recognize it. And we need to stop it before it grows. And sometimes, like the cancer, when it grows, when you take the cancer out, you have to take the cancer and all the skin around to make sure that it's not going to spread.
Yeah, it requires much more drastic measures.
Yes.
Let's transition a little bit as we wrap this up. Let's transition a little bit into what you envision as your role if you become the nominee, if you become elected to Congressional District 29 as a representative. What do you envision doing when you get to Congress?
Well, when I get to Congress, first thing I want to join the Committee for Energy and Commerce because it's our bread and butter here in Houston. And especially my district, we're right next to the refineries. And in Congress, I will fight to end and diminish all these regulations that are paralyzing our country. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that once they paralyze the companies, jobs goes down, and the country is paralyzed. And this is one of the reasons why it's still the energy field in Houston is still laying off people is because the regulations are so much that they need to cut down expensive. And how do they do that? By laying off people. Yeah. So my main thing, it will be, we need to get back to basics under Obama regulations when, every industry, all the regulations increase in a way that's what created the problems we have. And that's why our economy paralyzed. That's what increased unemployment, and which right now is down. But still, we haven't seen the big difference here in Houston. Yeah. And it's mostly because we depend on energy. And that's the one that we need to target first. And we need to build more refineries. There haven't been a refinery built since the 1970s. Yeah,
that's true.
And
it's very alarming when you hear that fact.
Oh, but you know what happened? And then the refineries we have being expanded. So they're working at maximum capacity, which is not only dangerous, but a problem with environment.
Yeah.
So we need to take care of all those problems. And those are problems that are important within my district and that I can attack and work for it in Congress.
Good. We've been speaking with Carmen Maria Montiel. She's a candidate from Congressional District 29, and she's seeking the GOP nomination in the 2018 primary. As I said earlier, the primary election will be held this coming Tuesday, March 6th.
Yeah. Go to my website.
There she is.
There she is, and here are my children.
Oh, yes.
Here are my 3 children with mommy.
There they are. I met your son the other night at the debate.
Yes, he is
a good man.
He can be a president.
He probably
will be a president.
Follow his mom's. You can follow her website. It's carmenforcongress.com. She's also on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is @Carmen Ma Montiel. That's Carmen M.A. Montiel. And then Facebook is the same thing, but carmen.ma.montiel. So you can look her up there and follow her posts. Go to her website and see if you can be part of her campaign if you'd like to contribute, and follow her on Twitter and see what she posts there when she's interacting with voters. Carmen Maria Montiel, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you, Blas. Thank you for the opportunity. Please go to vote.
Absolutely.
It's the only way you can have your opinion heard. It's your right and it's your duty. Mm-hmm. Vote, vote, vote. Remember, until tomorrow, early voting, and on Tuesday. I'm telling you, it's the only way you can have your opinion heard, because I will be listening to you as your representative.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. Did you have any upcoming events between now and Election Day that you'd like to talk about?
Oh, yes. Tonight we have a grassroots event in the district in Merida Restaurant and Navigation Street. We're busy. Our campaign is gaining momentum, and we're spinning off towards the end. Tomorrow I have another event that my friends and supporters have put together. And hopefully in the weekend, probably can rest to get ready for Monday and Tuesday, because Tuesday is the big time election. But please come join us tonight at Merida Restaurant in Navigation.
Okay, well, until the next time, this is HCRP Studio. We'll see you.
Thank you.